Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Whoa, audio there was a little weird. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Muy buenas noches, amigos. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm your host, Luis Vasquez from Food Mex Nation. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, Mexican soccer. We have a great show for you guys today, and let's go ahead and get started with none other than a first question we asked on Twitter. Actually, somebody asked this question: who's the best Mexican goalkeeper this season in Liga MX? Didn't get a lot of responses, but I think it came down to Cota and Mr. Hugo. Let's go ahead and go right to you guys. Mr. Jason Marquez in the East Coast.
How's
You
it
agree
going?
with that statement?
I don't know. I think like there's a solid argument for Hugo right now.
Hugo Gonzalez
Based on what he's
Duran.
playing, and Hugo Gonzalez up in Monterrey right now, and certainly the number of goals that aren't going in his net speaks highly for that argument. I have to go with my guy. I mean, I just Corona's my boy, and like I'm gonna ride with him. Like whatever was like if there's a big game, I want Corona back there. I trust that dude. That dude, he's my guy. I'm gonna stick with him. Maybe not. I think like for like saying the best season, the argument is a little shaky ground there, but I still think he's a really good goalkeeper, and I'll still pick him just about any day.
Well, then there's no bias there.
Not at all.
Not at all. Mr. Naive, do you agree, Cota?
Buenas noches, Wiso. Buenas noches, Tom, Jason. The case for Hugo Gonzalez, I think, is important because of what happened with him in America, never getting the shot real in the first team, and now he's, in the team that is, if you have to put up a bet, the favorite to win everything is Monterrey. I mean, it's just that's a dominant force that it is right now. But I think the options that you said, Wiso, at the beginning is Cota and Hugo. You could possibly put in Gibran Lahoud from Xolos, but he's rather been inconsistent. But it tells you a little bit of the situation in Mexico with goalkeepers, because when you think of the best goalkeepers in Mexico right now, they're all foreigners. I mean, you think Marchesín, Nahuel Guzmán, Barovero, Volpi.
Marchesín would probably be the best.
Let me even go with Sosa in Morelia right now, who's playing impeccable. So, I mean, those are five extranjero goalkeepers that are basically the leaders of that department in the league. And it used to be the opposite. It used to be that it was Mexican goalkeepers leading that block.
We have Conejo. I mean, you said at the beginning from the question in our pre-work. I mean, stick with your answer.
I'm going to go with Hugo Gonzalez as well. I think, top of the league. I think we've got a tendency to think he's really young. I was checking out before he's 27, so he's waited for his time. He's been shunted out at America, and he's got his opportunity with Rayados. Let's not forget the Rayados reserve goalkeeper, whose name has just slipped my mind, came from Italy, and he looked like he was going to be, what's his name? I can't remember now.
I think Carrizo. Is it Carrizo?
Yeah, Carrizo, yeah. And I thought he was going to be like the number one starter. I thought he was going to kind of make the position his own. So Hugo Gonzalez, not just what he's shown on the pitch, but he's holding off a very good goalkeeper to keep that number one spot, because there is pressure. Talavera's out this season, so usually he'd be my number one pick for Mexican keeper. But Luis Garcia, his replacement at Toluca, it's not amazing, but he's another one to throw in the mix there. And then you've got Blanco as well at Pachuca when Conejo is rested. But Cota, I think, I never liked Cota, to be honest, when he was playing for Pachuca. And then when he came to Chivas, I just didn't think you could really rely on him. But especially in that championship season, he really proved me wrong. But again, this season he's been, he makes a few mistakes. And I think Lahoud as well is another one who there's too many mistakes in those goalkeepers for me. So yeah, I'm going with Hugo Gonzalez. But yeah, Naib is right as well. I mean, I think the best other two goalkeepers this season have been Barovero and Necaxa and Sosa and Morelia.
Yeah.
So it is it's a position dominated by foreign players again.
The story of Liga MX, I mean, isn't that what we're always talking about? It's the domination, especially in that role. And now you said it, usually Mexican goalkeepers is at least one of the positions where we can say, you know, it's been dominated. But I mean, Marchesín would probably be my best keeper if we're looking at that. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much in it. It's a quite interesting topic as well. Like, who would you pick if you had if you had the full if you could choose any? I mean, a lot of people would say Volpe, but then you look at the mistake that he did the other day, and I'm not saying that should be a reason to say definitively no, but the mistakes in him as well. Marchesín as well. He's I remember that high-profile mistake for Santos Laguna against America, and then you've got my favourite Nahuel Guzmán, who for no reason against Cruz Azul brought down the ball on his line with his chest and then rolled it out. I don't know if you've seen that, but it was absolutely. I mean, for no reason either. But Nahuel Guzmán, I just think he's got a massive personality, a lot of character, and I like to see that in a goalkeeper. So, yeah. But yeah, apart from that, there's not much in it behind there.
We got a comment from the chat. Lopez Zio said Hugo needs to be the third option for El Tri. Already,
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that big time. I think now at some point Mexico needs a generational shift in the goalkeeper. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying get rid of Ochoa and put him in, but somebody needs to be that third goalkeeper who can step up eventually. Because at the minute we're seeing the same veterans keep being called up. So. I completely agree there with Loezeo.
All right, well, that was our opening question. Thanks for bringing it up. Not a lot of people really like that question on Twitter, so we decided to just talk a little bit about it when we're coming in. But we got a good show to you. We'll start with, which was kind of exciting news. I mean, I guess for the player. Now, 80 days ago, the Rafa scandal, Rafagate that we like to call it, and many people kind of think at the end and the demise of Rafa in Liga MX, and he's back, the return of Rafa, and from watching him play over the weekend, looks like he didn't even skip a beat. It was looking better than before when he left. What's going on? You're there in Guadalajara, Tom. The news of Rafa coming back. Apparently, obviously, he can't be in the national team, or at least he can, but not play any games in the United States. So there goes the national team hopes. All the games are here. But what's going on with Rafa?
Oh, Rafa, I mean, it took everyone by surprise. I went to the game, the Copa MX game, and suddenly the big story was Rafa's back. He's going to be in the squad. And yeah, he stayed on the bench. It was really weird, to be honest, because he didn't do any warm-up. He didn't warm up with the rest of the subs at half-time. And only about the 60th minute did he come off the bench and kind of do some stretches. So I didn't think he'd start against Querétaro, but yeah, like you said, Luiso, I think he played well. I memean, he didn't seem like he'd not been playing for about 85 days since he last played. And for a 38-year-old, it's not easy. It can't be easy to come back like that. But yeah, in terms of the legal side, there's still a lot up in the air. This isn't like, he's back now, okay, let's call him up. I mean, he can't have any relationship with companies from the United States or entities from the United States. So his lawyer is going to have a meeting in coming days with the national team, with the federation, to discuss whether there is a way of doing it so Rafa can be called up. And he can't go to the United States, obviously. So his visa was revoked. So, he'd have to apply for another visa. It doesn't look like the US government right now are going to give him another visa. So, in terms of that, I think it still looks unlikely that it's going to be at the World Cup. But the fact is, his return to playing is, at least it opens the door to that. You know what I mean? I think it's a really, really big and important first step. But there's still a long way to go before Rafa Marquez is, he's basically, he'd become the first player in history to captain a team at 5 World Cups. So it would be massive if Rafa Marquez could get to Russia 2018.
For some reason, I was just kind of hoping and glad that Rafa was gone. that we didn't have to depend on him. It feels like, and maybe this was the avenue. Obviously, we don't have a caliber and maybe his captainship. And it's good for them in the national team, but at the same time, when all this news came out, all right, I guess we're finally retiring from Rafa, and we have to develop somebody in that position. We're going to have somebody that maybe young, maybe not, but it's like it's still going on. And him wanting to be in the World Cup, I don't see it, especially if there's going to be, at least 4 games with scheduled and what I hear in the United States next year before the World Cup.
And he's not going to be in these ones either.
Yeah, he's not going to be in these ones either. Yeah, they can pass. It's like, all right, Rafa, thank you. Go get your stuff, taken care of. Good thing it didn't happen in the middle of your career, I guess. Get your stuff taken care of. Continue to play what you can, but I think it's time to go, Rafa.
Yeah,
I think. Go on.
It just seems like, I agree. It just seems like a easy avenue out. I mean, it was going to be tough to break, and it would have been. I mean, in some ways, it would have been great to bring him to another World Cup, but I mean, to be honest, you don't really want to see him playing in a lot of those games. And he's getting to be a liability. And, I don't think we're looking toward like who's going to be the next Rafa Marquez, who's going to fill in that position. And there's just not going to be. There's not going to be another Rafa Marquez. I mean, he's just a solitary player, and that's just his greatness is not going to be matched by the next player coming up. Then again, someone else needs to step up and take some of those spots. We can't be bringing him out. We can't. He just can't be on the team forever.
Well, I think when you say step up, Jason, I mean, obviously, there's different ways of interpreting that, and I think, I think when I hear that in the reference to Rafa Marquez, it's not the position. It's not the position. It's not like this is the. I mean, it would be brilliant if Mexico had a ball-playing centre back. They could step out and be 25, 27 years old. But it's that somebody who has that presence and that character and the leadership, and obviously that's one of the criticism of this national team right now is that there isn't that Rafa figure, and that's why, for me, I feel like it's still important for the national team, not because of what he does on the field, but because of what he could bring. But
bring him as a coaching staff or something, and bring him as a motivator.
It wouldn't totally surprise me, so especially with the US thing. I mean, if he can't play these friendly games, all right, you send him on a flight, not going through the US to Moscow, and then he turns up in Moscow. And he's one of the coaches. He's there with Osorio. I mean, and
it's an interesting situation for Atlas, the club, because they're buying for a playoff spot, and they got to give him minutes because they're out of the cup. They still got that game against Tigres at Jalisco in the next week, so I think he's gonna get their playing time. And Tigres is a good opponent, to test where he's at. If he's really out of it, you're going to tell right away against Tigres. But more, the thing with Rafa is always about the leadership. And I think right now, you got Guardado, you got Moreno, that already should be up there. Ochoa is also another captain. And it's this idea that Ochoa is one of the captains. And I think, I do understand, it's just difficult, Rafa. It's something so Mexican, that he has to be present at every time, especially in the big moment. I think that's what he wants as well. He wants to be part of this team that can make history. And I think that's something that has been really obsessive from his part. That's why he doesn't retire, because when you see players of the caliber of Xavi Hernandez and Carles Puyol, they were like, all right, I'm going to retire. Philipp Lahm in Germany, for example, he reached a certain age and he was like, I'm going to retire. I think it's Mexico that you're talking about. It's not like there's evidently someone else behind Marquez is going to take over his role as in the team. But I just think, the situation is looking really complicated right now. I don't think it makes common sense to take a player that is really not going to play with the national team for several games. I don't think we're going to see Marquez play a friendly with El Tri till probably, I don't know, maybe when Europe before the World Cup happens, in May or something. I just don't see it happening right now. And I don't know what Osorio's thought process is with all this. I mean, how is he going to deal with this? Because it seems that he has a golden ticket. Like, okay, it's 22 and Marquez. But it shouldn't be like that. But that's how it's looking right now.
Guys, this guy's got ties to cartel. Like, I guess maybe this is the American side of me that lived here so long. Like, get that away from the national team as possible.
Allegedly.
I don't know. That just kind of, all right, get your stuff together. What's going on? Do we really need somebody like that? And just Go. Instead of bringing more, other negative press. Rafa Marquez in the World Cup squad in Russia. Can you hear the press, international press all over that? It's like, this guy's got ties. That's distraction. I feel that that's distraction if nothing is cleared up, especially if the U.S. is still on and says, they've obviously done their homework. I'm not saying he's guilty or not, but they don't just put charges on someone just because they might, So I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot of negative press, especially if he comes back to the national team or he's in Russia, especially of all places, right? With Russia. But we'll see. We'll see. Hey, it was good for him that he looked well, though. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, if he when coming in and actually playing well.
Well, it's just, for me, it's just sad. The thing about the Rafa Marquez case, it's sad because Rafa Marquez is not just this player who's been to Barcelona, who's won, the European Cup, the Champions League. It's somebody who you kind of believed in. As someone working within Mexican football, you kind of believed in him because he's been there, he came back, and he's not been afraid to criticize, and he's not been afraid to say, you know what, this is wrong. We're setting up a players' union. We don't, and we're going to try and make some changes now. And I'm going to put myself at the forefront of this because, I've got the. I don't need the money. I'm not scared. I'm not intimidating because I've got this, I've got this history behind me. So for him, especially him, to get caught up in that a Mexican player is caught up in stuff like this, with the way the Mexican economy is and how it works, it's not a huge surprise, to be honest. In fact, it's probably surprising that we don't hear more, to be honest. But it's the fact that it's Rafa, the fact that it's this figure who I think people have invested so much in terms of a figure of change, basically.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely sad when that came out and just kind of like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we need, especially someone like Rafa, because many people consider him, one of the best Mexican players. I know I would, at least in talk. But going on, I know, since we're talking about former players and now coming back, one that is leaving and retiring, I'm skipping a beat here, Mr. Producer. Gerardo Torrado announced today that he retiring for sure. And not only is he retiring, but there's other news that's going to be involving El Tri, which something I guess I didn't see it coming. Maybe I haven't followed it. But sporting director Gerardo Torrado now will be following El Tri after his retirement. Wow, what team was he in? NASL?
Indy 11.
Indy 11.
Indy 11. There we go. So this is big news, especially for I've been saying, players getting more involved in the national team, if it's coaching, if it's in directives in that sense. I think it's definitely a way to go. And when I heard the news of Gerardo Torrado, a man that can remember his goal in 2002, so, a player with such a great career in the national team up until the end. And what better way to have someone there and some knowledge. So I'm definitely for, and your guys' reaction on Gerardo Torrado finally, trading in the boots and putting on a suit and tie.
My assumption was always that we'd see him on the sidelines. It just seemed like one of those natural players that would head right into coaching. So in some respects, I'm a little disappointed to not see him go down that avenue because I'd like to see more players of his generation and slightly older than him going to into management. But it's interesting to see what he will do with the national team. It's kind of a role that it could vary on how involved they truly are in kind of the day-to-day operations and like kind of setting a game plan and an agenda. So time will tell. Time will tell exactly how involved he'll be and if this is going to be something that could be really beneficial to the national teams. And it very well could be because, he's someone that, at least from the sporting sense, that you trust, that I think he has a good mind for the game. So we shall see.
I asked a question, and Torrado, what would you rank him in the Mexican international list? Top 10? Top 20? I don't remember a player like Torrado, and I think I wish we still had a player like Torrado destroying. Yeah, he'll get this yellow card every single game, but that type of player, I don't think we have seen. I think we want Herrera to be that type of player. I think we want someone in the midfield to really do that, and that's gone. When was the last time we had, even before Torrado? So I ask you guys, if you can rank Gerardo Torrado, and your Mexican of all time, does he reach the top 10?
I mean, I think for me, it's probably floating around that 10 mark. I mean, only Pavel Pardo and Claudio Suarez have played more games, so I don't know. It tells you a lot about his consistency, throughout his career, and I think that consistency comes from his professionalism. I think he's an absolute. Yeah. He's just so dedicated. He's been so dedicated throughout his career, even when times were really hard with Cruz Azul, and a lot of the times were really hard with Cruz Azul.
All the time.
He was giving absolutely everything every single game. I respect the fact that he went over to Europe, played second division football in Spain, just because he wanted that experience. He wanted that to live through that. And I think more Mexican players could do with taking that risk, to be honest. But in top 10, I don't know. I think it's a difficult one to put Torrado, to be honest, in the top 10.
I think, I see more top 20. Top 20 does kind of make more sense. With Torrado, I mean, he's said to now. If we compare him to a player from nowadays, from today, I mean, I think of Burrito Hernandez and Gallito Vázquez that have kind of the traits that Torrado had, like we were saying, that destroyer.
You like that?
No, Gallito can destroy. Gallito can destroy, and Burrito can destroy too. I mean, it's just that they don't have the personality or the aura that Torrado had, because Torrado can be compared to the same level as Pardo. And Pardo, is more creative minded, and that's why he did so well in Stuttgart when he went, with Ricardo Osorio over there and won the Bundesliga, which I think is one of the biggest feats that ever happened with Mexican footballers in Europe. The fact that they win right away and won the title.
Captaining too.
And captaining, yeah. So, I mean, that's why I think Torrado, in my opinion, the 2002 World Cup with Javier Aguirre, that game against Ecuador, I remember perfectly. That was a great golazo. And even the game he gave against Italy was also notorious. Unfortunately, everyone just...
He was really young back then, too.
Yeah, I think that was when he was in Europe, over there in Sevilla, played in Tenerife, I think was another team that he played for. So, I mean, he's also one of those first players that, put the name of Mexico in the map in Europe, and I think that is something that he will be remembered for. But all time, I think it's top 20, because I think nowadays you see other players like, we'll talk about Chuky Lozano, but Chuky Lozano is becoming a dominant force, and he could potentially be a top 10, for example, and when we look back to 20 years from now.
Well, all right. Well, I'm glad that he's taking that role, that he didn't go out. And even though this is what we do in the media, I'd like to see more players stop going the media process and going into the at least something to do with coaching.
But this role, right, is the same one that Santiago Baños had, right, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, he's basically filling in there. But what's happened as well is they've almost split the role. So Gerardo Torrado is going to be the sporting director of national teams, and I think Dennis Ticlosi, all of them. And Dennis Ticlosi is like the general manager of all the sporting teams. Then you've got Cantu, who's the general secretary. So
even the women's come.
Because I checked that out today, and on the website it's in plural. It's national teams, the keepers.
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, it's a challenge for Torrado, this new role. I'll tell you why. Because how many months now before the World Cup? 7-8 months. This process under Osorio has gone on since October 2015, November 2015. People they're used to each other. The players are used to Osorio. You've got Ibarrondo doing kind of the mental coaching side. You've got Cantu, who's basically leading it, and then you've got Desi Di Maria kind of having keeping his eyes on things, but not really the day-to-day stuff. So it's already kind of working like that. So what's Torrado going to do? I mean, it's a difficult role, and I think the reason they split it up was if you put a former player in that role, it's a lot of admin. It's a lot of phoning up European clubs and saying, "Hey, I need him to come this day. Can you sort out the flights? When can I let him leave?" I mean, there's a lot of hard groundwork doing that. It's not all kind of fun and games and being on the sideline talking to the players. So it's but obviously my worry about Torrado in terms of the short term is his relationship with Osorio, because we know Osorio is so precise in his philosophy and what he wants to do that actually not many people coincide with his views on the game. So for Torrado to come in as the sporting director, how is that relationship going to work out? I mean, will there be friction? We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing for me. I mean, looking at what he's done, I don't know. Like I said, having more players.
I don't think Osorio's going to be there after the World Cup, whatever happens. So, I mean, I think if he does well, he's going to leave, and if he does badly, then he's going to leave. I mean, I can't see a scenario, me personally, in that Osorio stays. I mean, everybody at the minute is talking about a new contract. Has anybody asked Osorio if like really, really wants? Because he's like, oh, I might, it'd be nice to see how Araujo develops and this and that. But it's like, usually a manager, if they say, yeah, I want a new contract, I want to continue. Osorio's not said that. And to be honest, I don't think he's particularly happy with how things are going in terms of the media and how he's received in Mexico. So I think he'll be out of here as soon as possible. Whatever happens at the World Cup.
Well, there you go. Hot takes already. Osorio will not be after the World Cup. All right. Well,
seems like a layup, really. I think that's.
We'll see. All right, guys, let's go into the what everybody was talking all over the weekend. Waking up early Saturday morning to Mr. Chuky Lozano once again scoring. We did a poll at the beginning of the season when Chuky and Chicharito scored, and we said, who's going to score more goals, Chicharito or Chuky? And a lot of people did pick Chuky Lozano, actually, which was definitely very surprising. But, great performance. It looks like he's having just a lot of fun. The team is definitely, surrounded him and welcomed him. Not only that, is the fans already with the chants all over the place. It looks like he's just having a perfect season so far, leading the goal scoring there in that country and in that league. And everybody's talking about it. I mean, the Chuky Lozano has been, rumored already. Arsenal looking at him, which in my personal, I think he should just keep going, continue maybe a year, maybe 2 years there at PSV. But doing phenomenal there. Is it a surprise? I think you heard the Pecho Frio arguments. You heard of some problems that he had right before he left. And should we get hyped? Should we already start calling him? I know already we said maybe Chuky Lozano is one of the best, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Are you surprised with this Chuky?
I'm a bit surprised that, I knew he had the talent for it, and I thought it would be a successful season for him with PSV, but just you expect in a move to Europe there to be some lag time, some adjustment time. Some time to kind of get used to a new league, new teammates, new environments, and just leaving your country and moving overseas in general, just away from the game, the difficulty that can come with that. So, it's surprising to me just that it's basically going perfectly for him thus far. It's just about as good as it can possibly go. And I expected it to be successful, but maybe not so much right away. So it's impressive. No matter what that the defensive acumen of that league is, there is some that it's just you can't do much better than he's done so far. So it's it's incredible.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I didn't think he'd settle so easily. Same as Jason. And he's done. In terms of getting excited, if you can't get excited about this, then as a Mexico fan, then what are you going to get excited about? This is what it's all about. What he's doing right now. You could expand the argument and say, ideally, in an ideal world, Mexico would have 3-4 young players doing the same. But it is what it is. You've got Lozano doing his thing and really being a beacon of an example for the players that used to be his teammates. Pizarro, Gutierrez, Pineda. That's Lozano's doing what all of those threatened to do. The difference is Lozano's actually. Those guys have kind of stagnated a little bit, to be honest.
No, but real quick with Lozano, it's he already broke the record of the first player in the Revedices to score at least, in his first 7 of 8 games. Was it 7 of 8 games? In first 7, basically scored at least in 7 of the first 8 games he's played in the Netherlands. So I mean, I think that kind of says a little bit the type of a statement that he's done in the first weeks over there in the Netherlands. With his progress, I mean, it's going spectacular. I mean, because when you compare, for example, with Tecatito had difficulties with Twente because he was even relegated to the second team because he didn't adjust to he had some weight problems. I think it was not being at the tempo that he should be. And Lozano is the total opposite. I mean, the guy's flying on the field, and it showcases the qualities that he's had. I mean, we knew in Liga MX that he was fast. We knew that he had a good shot outside the box, and now to see it in Europe, I mean, it's just a confirmation of what we thought he could become. And Tom mentioned several weeks ago when he was in San Luis and how many people were chanting Chuky. I mean, there is a Chuky mania. I mean, I think I do feel it even in Mexico City, is this appreciation of what he's doing in Europe. It's kind of the similar feeling that happened when Chicharito arrived in Manchester United. Of course, different level, way different level, because it's England. But to see the guy in every week scoring goals, I mean, that develops that type of pride and be like, oh, Chuky's doing stuff over there, And especially now that you see the cases of Giovanni Dos Santos and Carlos Vela in this sort of chill out kind of mood, at least you have someone that is growing spectacularly over there in Europe.
I'm looking at this and every weekend when he scores, I'm hoping he scores, and I'm watching. It's very, very exciting. It just looks like it's easy. He's having fun. He's on the best team, the most points. I think they're first. He's the leading scorer for the team. No, I think he's tied in the team, right? I think there's somebody else that has the same amount of goals. And then, and he's scoring all over the place.
And real quick, also, a lot of people were concerned about, Moreno and Guardado left, and they were like, oh, they're not going to have, Chuky's not going to have a Mexican footballer, a compatriota there that is going to teach him the ways and PSV. But he really didn't need it because Cocu knows Spanish. Cocu knows to speak Spanish right away, and I think that is a key factor here. Because he doesn't have to worry about the language that much. I mean, having that advantage is huge, especially when you go to the Netherlands.
Well, how many Mexicans have been, you know what I mean, at the same time? I feel like I think it wouldn't be like it's a huge shock, especially coming in, but at the same time, guys, I think we should celebrate it, but not get too crazy. This guy's like the next, he's scoring goals because of Eredivisie. Like, let's slow it down. We're great. I want to see him, one season. And if I don't want it to be like, okay, this guy keeps scoring, he gets, 20 goals. I think Josie Altidore had 22 goals, if you remember, in the same. Yeah, and it was like, this guy is going to be legit. It's totally different.
Sunderland,
yeah.
and
So I feel if we can get 2 good seasons of constant playing, and see what this kid's made of, and then taking that step one at a minimum. But when I already hear Arsenal's already there and buying out his clause, and let's get him ready after 10 games. Let's slow it down. Let's not get too crazy hyped up. I don't think the Netherlands is that great of a league compared to all the European ones. But at the same time, everyone's happy for him.
But what's going to happen as well? Obviously, everybody's watching him in Europe. Put it that way. Everybody's watching him. It's not like, he's there now. He's right in front of their eyes. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen is a lot's going to depend on what happens between now and the end of the World Cup. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, if Lozano continues this form between now and then does something at the World Cup, then it's not going to be a case of let's wait another year. It's going to be a case of let's capitalize right now because this guy is the real deal. So, that's what you want. I mean, I think a club for him. I mean, I wouldn't go to the Giants. You know what I mean? I'd suggest somewhere like Borussia Dortmund, Betis, Sevilla, even the Liverpool. I think it's that kind of club that Chuky should be. I don't know, the next step, if you like.
Taking the competition, not starting a Sevilla, some kind of team like that, not going in, or like all of a sudden Chelsea signs, and we're just like, oh great,
but like keep the patience. I think is important because recently with PSV, and Tom knows about this one. I mean, Memphis Depay when he came out of PSV to Manchester United, we thought, whoa, this guy is going to be the real deal. And look where the pie is. He's Olympique de Lyon right now. So I mean,
Yeah.
it was a huge. There was a lot of talk about the pie of him being this next great big PSV youngster, because now Lozano is, with the Robins, and he's entering that category. Mertens, for example, is another one that comes up to mind. And he's gonna get those looks. He's gonna get those looks from the big teams. It's a matter of responding when that moment comes, which is, we have that doubt because in the Olympics he didn't do so well, and he was the star of the team in the Olympics. And now 2 years later, 2018 is going to be the World Cup, and he's going to arrive as one of the key figures in Mexico. And let's see how he acts with that role, with that weight on his shoulders. Basically, that's what it is, no?
Just as a question, I'm trying to remember a time where Chuky, not that the Eredivisie teams are not great, but I'm talking about like a good team. The Mexico or Chuky's played, and he had a really good, because I feel like almost every time Chuky has scored has been against really weak teams. He knows how to slice through bad defenses like somebody else. A good performance against a good defense.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. What I would say is, he's still young, and I wouldn't pin that on him yet. You know what I mean?
But some Champions League experience, some Europa League, where we're seeing what he can do against high caliber defenses. Because honestly, I'm watching these teams and I'm like, that Chuky's going to score when he gets the ball from the middle, and just kind of just see the level of Chuky on that. It's how fast he is and how better his team is compared to the opposition. So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does continue this run of form going into the spring, that one of those bigger teams does make the move even before the World Cup and locks him down and spends the big money. I don't know if that, and like we said, I'm not sure that would be a great move for him right now. Like getting snatched up by one of the big clubs, possibly losing playing time, maybe not really being totally ready for that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen.
All right. Well, good. Another person that scored really quick, Chicharito, who many people are just looking at, why isn't Chicharito scoring? But watching his teams, watching his games, I think he's still doing a great job in a totally different type of Chicharito, even though his goals are still what people encountered as poachers, or what we like to see it. But as long as he keeps playing, he keeps doing what he needs to be doing at the team to rise. I think it's going to be very, very difficult, especially with the team that they have. But your thoughts really quick, guys. Chicharito scoring, giving back on the scoring job really quick before we turn into some Chivas, Jorge Vergara, and maybe some Morelia León and Necaxa talk.
Yeah, I think, Naive, you wrote about it, didn't you? The shots per game that he's been having.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that much. I mean, it's basically one shot per game. But when you see a shot on target, but when you see West Ham has an average of 3 shots on target per game. So that kind of tells you a little bit of how much they arrive into the box, which isn't that much. I mean, the problem here, at least, I mean, I think when you look at the numbers, they're positive. Scoring 4 goals in West Ham is a positive number when you look at the whole scope of things. And we look at the whole scope of things of Mexican football, because Raúl Jiménez is not scoring, Carlos Vela is not scoring, Oribe Peralta is, still scoring, but it's on and off, kind of. But those are your 2 main strikers right now, Peralta and Chicharo. Those are the ones that are consistently scoring every other week, I would say. Because when you see Raúl, I know Raúl is not playing, it's not a starter in Benfica, but that shouldn't be used as an excuse. I mean, he's been there for many, many years already, and he still can make the cut to start. Vela is he's somewhere else. I don't know where Vela is at right now. I think he's a Staples Center already, watching Lavar playing ball. So I don't know what's going to happen there with Vela, but, he's not scoring that much.
Well, there we go. All right, guys, what we said we would do, something a little different. Instead of us dictating the way the show is going to go, we asked to send us your questions, and we will answer them on this fun Monday Night Football edition of we'll answer your questions. And I think MV23 is already saying, Lisa, what happened to answering fans' questions? So we're going to do that. One of them that came right away, and I like to say, because then I'm going to, if not, I thought it was a very fair statement from our friend Mr. Jolie, who was about Mr. Keisuke Honda, saying that the Mexican soccer show was saying he was going to be scoring, he was going to do amazing.
He scored 3 goals this week, though. Keisuke Honda.
You know,
scored 2 in the cup and 1 against Santos.
Has he delivered in the hype that the Mexican soccer show? I'm just the message I'm reading.
Yeah,
he's there to explain that the season's almost over. Keisuke Honda, has he lived up to his hype, Mr. Naib? I remember you were there, or Tom.
I just don't think he played. He's not played recently yet, and I've seen him. I saw him against Santos, and I think he's getting there. I don't think he's there yet. Also, has been moving around in terms of the position. He played kind of a false 9 the other week, and this time kind of behind the striker. So yeah, give him a bit of time. I think he's done quite well, to be honest, considering the culture shock that it must be for Honda to adapt with. And I think that next season we'll probably see a really, really good player.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, just following what Tom said, I mean, it's a process. I mean, it doesn't happen right away. I mean, I think Gignac set the bar high. I mean, I think that was pretty clear. It's been pretty clear about that. But, the Pachuca's still in the hunt for a playoff spot. If they win both games that remain, and then they wait at certain results that happen with other clubs, they still have a slim chance of still making it. And if they make it into the Liguilla, they become a dangerous team to face. I think Monterrey wouldn't want to face them after they lost the final in the 2016 Clausura against Pachuca.
All right, well, there you go, Joel. Your answer. All right, let's go to listen to your questions that we got in on Twitter. All right, with a tight race for those last in Liguilla spots, who do you see squeezing in and who will be bumped out? Carlitos ZGA asked. All right, who wants to tackle that one? What do you see?
I think a massive game on Wednesday against Atlas against Tigres in that game that's been made up because of the broken screen thing. But if Atlas can get something out of that game, I'd put them in there. The way Cruz Azul are just nosediving, Toluca not been playing too well, and then I think the rest of them are in. I think Necaxa, América, León, Morelia, Tigres, Monterrey, they're in. So I think it's those last 2 places now. And yeah, I'd say I'd get Atlas to overtake Cruz Azul, and then that's it. I think Toluca will just about squeeze over the line.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's hard to see Cruz Azul. They're going to Morelia this weekend. I don't think that's going to go well for Cruz Azul. And Atlas has the extra game on them. So yeah, like Tom said, they not the easiest schedule for Atlas in those last 3 games. I think they have the Tapatio as well.
Yeah, and then Pachuca.
And Pachuca is another team that could squeeze in there with some decent results possibly. So it'll come down to those fixtures. But yeah, I also see Atlas bumping out Cruz Azul here.
Cruz Azul, what a start and what demise.
Well, I mean, it was a lot of draws. I mean, there was it was a nice start, but there were red flags. It's not like it was just smooth sailing.
Yeah, I just thought they'd kind of other than go the other way. You know what I mean? They were unbeaten. There was a lot of draws, but I thought maybe they're going to start.
León and Cruz Azul did this.
Yeah. They completely swapped and yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary time at Cruz Azul right now because you're seeing a team that's kind of just capitulating.
But it's really what's it called? They're really lucky to still be in the zone even after the bad slump they've had. So
Liga MX.
Yeah, it's Liga MX. It's still in it. It's
horrendous.
They depend on themselves, which is the craziest thing ever. I mean, I think when you see how they played as of late, you wouldn't think that Cruz Azul at this point would be depending on themselves to reach the Liguilla, but that's the case. I mean, it's up to them. I mean, but like you were mentioning, Jason, Tom, we saw the games that Cruz Azul has left are complicated. And you see, for example, Toluca that was all right, but now it's not so okay after the latest results they had. Especially at home. It's kind of rare to see them fall apart at home, but they have actually as of late.
I will say though that when Cruz Azul eventually does win the title again, it's going to be in a season like this where there's no hope. Like no one is excited about the team and they just do it somehow. That's when it's going to happen. It won't happen this season or for a very long time. When it does happen, this is the kind of season it will happen from.
No one's been excited about that team for a long time, and we just got excited. And then this is what happens. All right, let's go with more listener questions. With all of the polemic polémicos, all the calls this week. Can we adopt the VAR in Liga MX? Do you ever see us adopting?
Edson
Lerma, who asked that question, the video assistant referee.
I mean, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, there was stories before the season that Mexico was going to be one of the first leagues to get it, and I think the league was interested. If I remember rightly, from what I read, there was financial problems in installing the cameras in all the stadiums.
I don't see that in León. I mean, have you seen that? Installing that type of technology, or there's not even Wi-Fi, man.
No, yeah, I mean, so I think that was the problem. They didn't want to put the money into installing all the cameras where they should have done. I mean, you know, again, expanding the conversation a little bit, I think it's quite clear that a club like Monterrey, or America, would have absolutely no problem doing it. But then this is the problem with the league. I mean, you go to Veracruz, and last season they couldn't even provide proper security. Yeah. You know, that's how cheap they were. And then you had Chiapas last season. You know, now you've got Xolos. I'm sure we'll get into it a bit. They're not even paying players either, reportedly. So this is the problem with the league. And for me, the Liga MX should
for that. Yeah, the stadiums would pay for all the cameras. The league would pay for the cameras.
I'm not sure, but I mean that's what. Yeah, I would have thought the league, but I mean the league is the clubs basically as well. So they would have probably asked for money. But I mean, this for me, this is the kind of initiative Liga MX, as where it stands in the global scheme of things, should be putting their hand up and saying we want to try this out. We want to be at the forefront. We want to get pressed through this and stuff. And
hold on a second, we can't pay you this week, players, because we're installing cameras.
Spray out.
I mean, it's an interesting conversation because, you know, you see the signings that the clubs make, not all of the clubs, but some of the clubs, but even sometimes Puebla would or Veracruz make a significant splash for foreign players. I mean, how the heck do they all of a sudden get 10, 12 foreign players from one day to the other? I mean, where's the money coming from? I mean, it's just a lack of organization and just like the lack of concept of what they want their league to represent when it compares to the rest of the world. I mean, it seems really, it's just so, what is it? Just a small-minded league kind of sometimes, because you just think about what you have in the US and Mexico, and that's it. We don't care about anything else. That's all what matters. And it really shouldn't be like that. I mean, I think they should aspire for greater things. And clearly the refereeing has been one of the things that has been really weak in the league. I mean, it really looks that, you know, even after the strike, we thought the strike was going to change something, but it really didn't change anything. I mean, it's just still stagnated as it was even before the strike happened.
I think you're wrong. We were the very first ones to use a little spray thing when it comes 10 yards between the players. That's technology that Mexico was the first ones to use it in the world. But yeah, I started thinking about it. Let's say Buena Puebla or a very small club, you know, gets this $1 million renovation of cameras and then gets relegated. I mean, you know, I think the money should come from Liga MX, or there's got to be some kind of portable. Don't tell me that the cameras are still in Pernambuco, Brazil, you know, and all those cameras are still stuck in those stadiums in Brazil that no one's using. So get together. I'm with you there, Naive. All right, continuing, because we got lots of questions. How likely is a Clásico Regio final? And how do you think the rest of the country will take it? From Mr. Omar Santos. I want to see a Clásico Regio. I think everybody wants to see a final.
Sure. I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, yeah, the two teams that – I mean, it seems like the most likely final. I mean, Monterrey are just dominant at the moment, and Tigres are so stacked. I mean, as long as they stay on opposite sides to the bracket toward the end, I mean,
you can't really
it seems highly likely, right? I mean, how would the rest of the country take it? They'd probably take it as a further sign of the times.
A Clásico Regio final or a Chivas America final?
Well, the network, Televisa and anyone broadcasting, Univision, everyone broadcasting would prefer the latter. But as far as just as much talent as you could pack on the field, let's take the radio. Yeah.
If I had to pick one to be at, I know that being at the Azteca or the stadium for Chivas, but man, a final between in the Regio would be amazing to attend. All right, here we go. National team question: What will these friendlies versus Belgium and Poland tell us about the state of the national team? Can we take anything away if both games end in losses? From Mariano Villa. I'll answer right away. I think it's going to be a great test for our players in the cold. That's it. All right, Tom, where are we? What can we take?
In the cold.
No,
analysis there.
That's it. Getting ready for Russia.
I think they're really important games. I mean, I really do. I know they're only friendlies. I know it's not going to decide anything, but I think one of the main question marks about Osorio has been the team's ability to step up when you get quality opposition. Belgium, you look through their team, and it has to be one of the favourites for the World Cup. And Poland are a very good team as well. So, this is an absolutely massive test for Mexico. So, yeah, I think more than anything, if Mexico lose both the games, there's just going to be the intense media scrutiny again. There's going to be a lot of criticism. It's going to be a negative atmosphere, and it's not what you want. It's not what you want going into World Cup year.
Yeah, both losses, everything falls on Osorio, right? And we don't have a lot of good, interesting ways of breaking down the players and looking at constructive ways moving forward. It all falls on Osorio because these are two quality opponents, and two more losses against quality opponents would up that heat on Osorio and not really be constructive moving toward the World Cup. So it would be detrimental, but like Tom said, it's exciting to be playing these games against top level competition because Mexico doesn't get that many chances to do it. Yeah, and here they are, and in Europe, so it's fantastic.
I mean, I know that we'll delve deeper as the days go by, especially when the list comes out. But these friendlies are important for that Achach as defensive midfielder. If he's gonna once again test that out against these two opponents, and then also it comes into question, for example, someone like Giovanni Dos Santos, no, that I know a lot of in the Twitter is like get him out, but he's still part of the team. I mean, he's still part of the team no matter what. He's gonna be in these games. Let's see what he can offer in the stage after basically not playing for a month, which is not positive. But that's what Giovanni is right now. He's not playing. He's watching the cars. He watched the cars, the F1. As I was doing this weekend, having a pleasant time. Yeah, no,
I mean, honestly, this Belgian team. I mean, I know, like Jason said, it was interesting. It's packed with, I know we've talked about Lozano, we've talked about Chicharito doing well, but the Mexican team right now, it doesn't have that depth that someone like Belgium has. I mean, Alderweireld at Tottenham, Vermaelen, Vertonghen. These are only the defenders. Company, Courtois, Mignolet, as the goalkeepers. Yeah, that's just the defensive block, and they're not even known for the defensive block. They're known for like De Bruyne and Fellaini and Hazard, Witsel, Lukaku up front. I mean, this is an absolute quality team. And Mexico are underdogs, big underdogs for this game. And I just hope that I know what I'm saying is completely, it's not going to be worth anything, but in a perfect world, the Mexican press would understand that this is top team. The Belgian team is what an absolute top world team looks like, and Mexico is still in the process of getting there. So forget about Osorio. Whoever was manager for this game, Mexico would be a significant underdog.
Definitely, especially in Belgium. I'm excited to see what they're going to bring, the players that they're going to be called, especially being in Europe. Hearing a lot of rumors out there with some of the players that are being called. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be coming up. We should see a call-up on Wednesday, maybe Thursday, as Tom likes to say. Sometimes they tell us one thing and it comes out another. So we'll see where that comes out, and also some news on some friendlies that'll be coming up. All right, continuing with the questions. Let's see. I've always heard conspiracy theories about the 90s World Cup. I've heard Mexico was only banned from 90 because USA was hosting 94. That was not a question, but John Cervantes was we talk about that. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that.
No, it's Cachirules, no?
Yeah, the Cachirules, which is pretty much Mexican football team. U20s or U17 was lying about their ages, something like that. I like to forget about that time. I remember July 1st, 1988. I remember the day my dad told me that Mexico was not going to the World Cup. I was tiny. I remember that day. I'm that old. And then I raced football for like the 3 years. I mean, I don't think I watched the 1990 World Cup game. I don't even know who won. And then, so no, it was a conspiracy. You guys thought 2013 was, the worst you could ever feel as a Mexican fan? To all of us that were alive in 1988, 1989, and 90, watching a World Cup. And I'm like, all right, screw it. All right, keep going. What do young Mexican players need to do to get playing time in their clubs? Should younger Mexicans leave Liga MX to get minutes? From @Yo Soy Maxi. This is one of the questions that we've been talking about.
Entire podcast.
That could be an entire year of what we need to do, and it's all up to the league that can really help, but they don't want to help. Tom, you've written about this over and over.
Such a massive question. Like, what do young Mexican players need to do?
Get out of Mexico? Espericueta trying to leave?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to find another angle, but is there a mentality thing there? I know the rumors, for example, Chivas at the minute, if Chivas give the young players, minutes, the rumors at Chivas is that the attitude of the players this season just hasn't been there, and because they won the title, so the players almost think they've made it once they've got to that first division. So, you see a couple of them dropping off now as well. So, is it an attitude thing? I think that's a small reason. Obviously, the influx of foreigners. I don't actually blame the league for that. They make the rules, but it's actually the club owners, and every single club in Liga MX is owned by a Mexican. It's not like you get foreign investors and stuff. This is a Mexican-owned league, and basically they're planning the squads, and they're planning squads that make it difficult for Mexican players, young Mexican players, to get into. The irony of it is that they've also invested loads of money in youth systems in a lot of cases. So it's one of the biggest ironies in the Mexican game. So should younger Mexicans leave Liga MX? Yeah, 100%. And I think the example that we're witnessing right now is Antonio Briseño.
Oh yeah,
playing for kind of a not great club in Veracruz, where he was playing at left back. If we remember last season, he's a right-footed centre back, and he was playing at left back for a lot of the season. But now he's playing in the Portuguese first division, and he's starting to get there. You look at João Malek, who moved to Porto B. He's starting to do some good things. You look at Omar Gouveia on loan in Belgium for Porto. So I think we're seeing a few kind of positive signs for those players who have taken a risk and gone over there.
They're kind of outliers, but good outliers. Like they're getting out of the way to reach that dream of playing in Europe. I mean, and the clubs have to do a lot. With Joao is Santos, and the same can be said about Antuna. Over there in Groningen, and part of the city football group. So it also has a lot to depend with the club. But then you have those cases like Edson Alvarez in América, César Montes in Monterrey, Jonathan González in Monterrey, which kind of awaken you from this bad dream, because like Tom says, I mean, it gets, for example, you see Orbelín Pineda and you're kind of disappointed right now, and I think I agree with it, but it's this kind of idea that once you reach the pinnacle of your abilities in Mexico, you kind of throw yourself on a couch and be like, I did it, I made it. When in reality, you haven't done anything. It's it's just winning the league.
Yeah, I think a good example is Pulido, and I think there's a real like kind of safety blanket within Mexico, even for the players who have made it, because at the end of the day, Pulido couldn't make it in Greece. I mean that's not good. I mean the standard in Greece isn't great, but he still comes back to Chivas, gets paid loads of money, massive signing. He's there a week or so ago, going to a concert, driving his Audi, which is 5 million pesos or whatever it is. Like, he's got an absolutely ridiculous life. And you could argue that this is somebody who's kind of failed. I think an Argentine player who failed in Greece and went back to Argentina wouldn't be living that lifestyle.
True that.
So therefore,
a chance in Greece, though. I'm not going to cut you make sense, but I thought there was something there with the whole FIFA didn't allow him to play, and he'd only play in other.
I mean, it was Olympiacos, wasn't he? And he wasn't getting in.
No, definitely understandable. Yeah, no.
That it might be 0.5% of that drive that you need. But when you know you can just come back home and Chivas will pay millions for you and pay you a massive, massive wage, then I don't know. I just think it's an extra ingredient into that question.
There's a lot that we can go into, just like what we said, when it comes to that. All right, really quick. I know we're about to end, but breaking news as of today: Xolos, big news coming out. No longer having the coach that's reading that is no longer there. Also, some problems with players not getting paid, and apparently the coach saying enough is enough and resign. What's going on with that news? I'll go to you. Mr. Tom was tweeting a little bit about it, just kind of talking about that and how we're seeing an institution like Xolos, who, I mean, wouldn't expect that news to come out of there.
No, definitely, it's a surprise. I mean, it's not. I think there's a few different factors. The first one, multiple reports saying that certain players haven't been paid for the last couple of months. Not all players, but some of the players. One report suggested that Coudet, the Argentine coach, went to the ownership and kind of demanded that they got paid, and then that's why they kind of split up. And he left. I mean, he's a really good manager, so I think it's over the long term, Club Tijuana's lost. But yeah, again, it's a negative. You don't expect it from a club like Xolos, who have gone out there. The weird thing is, I know they sold Aviles Hurtado, but they've gone out and spent a lot of money this off season, so it is a bit strange. But yeah, I mean, there's rumours as well of the split in the dressing room again, and basically, it's an Argentine team, a lot of the time. And the same thing happened 3-4 years ago. You got so many Argentines in there with an Argentine manager, and I think it sometimes splits the dressing room when you got so many players from one country. And I think the Argentines and the Mexicans and the Mexicans Americans are kind of split from each other, really. And this is the result. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good for the PR of the league either.
This was one of the, I mean, we talked about Keisuke Honda earlier, the excitement that was brought into the league at the beginning of the season. Coudet coming into this team was one of those big storylines, because this was a manager that was bringing an identity to a team that needed one of those managers that was going to stick around for a while and really change this team with such turnover coming into the team. And it was so exciting to have him in at Xolos, and got off to that rocky start, but really had things turning around. They're making a run in Copa MX. Still kind of pushing for one of those last spots there in the league. So I mean, it's an exciting team at the moment, and it's terrible for the league in general to lose him, and obviously all those other implications on what this story could be, and the rumors that are out there. It hurts the league, it hurts the team. It's terrible.
No, those reports about the players not getting paid are worrying, because you don't expect that from Xolos. I mean, the Xolos is a team that has been, when you think of Xolos, you do think of economic stability. You don't think about Jaguares or Puebla or those teams. You think about a club that has some type of, project going on that doesn't just cover one, saving yourself from relegation, for example. I mean, I think Xolos is a team that has worked itself, to be one of the competitive sides in the league. And now they're in turmoil. I mean, I don't know what direction they're going to take. I mean, I know Tom mentioned the possibility of, does Caixinha become an option now that he is out of Rangers? It certainly could become an option. It just depends on what type of project really they want to have. I mean, they have great players, a great offense,
I mean, Caixinha's out of Rangers.
Yeah, Caixinha's out of Rangers. I mean, but firstly, I mean, that sprung to mind before kind of the rumors about not getting paid. So, but I think Caixinha is going to be linked with every significant job in Mexico that comes up now, because he won the league obviously with that Santos team. But yeah, I think that I don't know, that's the problem now as well for Xolos. It's like now this has come out, and in other leagues this would have come out way before for me. I think there's still, the players don't trust the press very much. I think they're still scared about their own futures because of the Pacto de Caballeros and stuff like that. So now it's come out. You look around and you think, well, let's see what Xolos do, because they've got to act now. They've got to come out in terms of public relations, and they've got to counter what's going on, because the whole image now of the club is pretty negative right now. So let's see what they do, because at the end of the day, they've got to go out there now and find a coach. I mean, week 15 of the season, they've got to find a coach. They've still got an outside chance, I think, of making the playoff. So let's see what they do. But it doesn't help if you want to attract somebody like Caixinha.
We'll see. We'll keep continuing, especially with Xolos being so close into trying to make it to the Liguilla, 18 points, same as Pachuca. But especially this news, and we'll see where that goes. All right, guys. I know we went a little bit late regarding obviously all the questions. Definitely enjoyed all of the fan questions. We'll try to do this more often with the show, but I wanted to at least answer some more. There was other questions, and if we didn't get to them, we'll try to definitely get to them next time. We'll devote a lot more to the national team on the next podcast, especially since we'll see a call-up this week and hopefully some names of some opponents for the friendlies that are coming up. So we'll definitely see those the call-up, and then obviously the November's dates. Mexico plays Belgium, and then Poland also. Really quick before we leave, we got some exciting news that just kind of keep your eye out for the Mexican Soccer Show on Twitter. I will give you a hint. It has to do with the Mexican national team. I think it's going to be a great project, and just kind of keep your eyes open, your ears open, and definitely in what we're doing here with the Mexican Soccer Show. Very excited what's coming next. We'll let you know when it's all ready, but yeah, definitely gonna see some fun stuff coming off from all of us, and information about the national team. So, all right, guys. I know we went a little bit over. What other stories, really quick? Keep an eye out. Obviously, the Liguilla is coming up. Mexican national team. We got the Porto players playing. It looks like Mexicans abroad. I mean, we still don't have full participation, but at least we're starting to see some participation from some players that haven't gotten any. So we'll see where that goes.
It'll be interesting to see if Moreno gets Champions League minutes.
Moreno gets championship minutes.
That'd be great, to see him get those, and there's Copa MX action, and even the Liga MX Femenil. There's gonna be a Clásico Nacional semi in the Liga MX Femenil, and the other bracket is Tigres Pachuca. So I mean, it's kind of it's interesting to see how with Pachuca, Tigres, America, it's a project that overlaps everything, the men's and women's in the game.
Laura Cervantes, 16 goals for the first goal scorer, campeona de goleo for the femenil. Congratulations. Also, if you didn't see, Ketty Robles in Spain killing it with a golazo against Barcelona. If you watch our ladies abroad. All right, guys. Well, Mr. Jason Markowitz, go ahead and close us out.
Yeah. Goodbye. Good show. See you next time.
There you go, guys.